Hi. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Jeff McDonald, and I am the Vice President of the NEM Foundation. Today, I'm going to be talking about the revolutionary platform for information exchange. So this will be the focus of my topic today. What is a blockchain? What is it really? Well, it's a lot of different things. One thing is it's a protocol. It is a technology for orders and rules. And some of these rules in the blockchain for what it cannot do is what makes it powerful. You cannot double spend. You cannot send the same Bitcoin to two people. And it is this protocol and this rule that makes the blockchain so powerful. It uses cryptography. It uses this new kind of math and science to make sure that the information has always been secured. It uses blocks chained together. A lot of people ask me, what is a block, right? What is it? We don't know what a block is. And let me try to explain it the best way I can. This is not my analogy, but I heard this from someone else. A block is kind of like an ant. Well, a transaction is kind of like an ant. It's moving down a branch on a tree. And if some sap on that tree falls onto the ant is sticky, right? And a sap is a little bit like a block. And an ant is a little bit like a transaction. And if another round of sap falls on the ant, it's more sticky. And if another round falls on it and another round falls on it, the more sap that falls on that ant, the more it is that that ant is locked into that tree. And this is just like a blockchain, because more blocks that happen after a transaction, the more that transaction is secure. But if a transaction is only in one block, just like an ant that only has a little bit of sap on it, that ant maybe can escape and go somewhere else. This is the way the blockchain works. Each block secures every other block that comes after it. The network is decentralized, and this is very important because it's not just the cryptography, it's not just the block, it's the fact that all of these nodes around the world all share the same history of those blocks, of those transactions, and every transaction can be known and is auditable. I want to point out today that the blockchain is actually just a database. That's what it is. It's a new kind of database. It's an amazing kind of database. And Bitcoin is the first blockchain. And it's a great blockchain. And it's especially good for sending money. But if you think about it, databases are used for a lot of things. Yes, a bank uses a database for sending money. A bank uses databases at the bank for recording transactions. But think of all the other ways that we use databases. If there's an election, those votes are on a database. If you have identity for a country, those identities are on a database. If you are tracking items for logistics, that tracking of information is on the database. So databases can be used for a lot of different things, and I believe that the blockchain can be too. What does it solve? It solves trust. Up until this point in time, when you had a database, you had to trust your bank's database. You had to trust your country's database. You had to trust a company's database. But now, with the blockchain, you can trust the blockchain. And it's spread out all over the world, and it gives you the information. Trust is the thing that the blockchain has solved. The blockchain is a social agreement. When I see the blockchain, I know that I sent my friend money. And he can look at the blockchain and he can see that he received the money. And you can look at it and see that I sent money to him, and I know that you can see that I sent money, and he knows that you can see, and we all know that everybody can see that we each sent money. And that makes the social agreement. That allows all of us to agree what had happened in the digital ledger. This idea of a social agreement through a common ledger that shows the history of what had happened is a revolutionary idea. It's a new idea, and I think it's going to fundamentally change the way our societies work in the future. And I think one of the ways is it's going to change how we view identity, how we do our rights, how we control our powers, our votes, our property, contracts, cards, tickets, reputation, and more. All of this is stored on databases, and now the database can be used as a blockchain. This is the dawn of a new blockchain revolution and a new way of thinking about the world. How did it start? How did this dawn start? Well, a lot of people know that Satoshi Nakamoto is the inventor of Bitcoin, and he released this white paper in 2009. But I want to tell you that I believe Bitcoin starts before 2009. It starts in 2005 with this man. His name is Nick Szabo. And in 2005, he wrote a blog called BitGold. And he describes using decentralization. He describes using cryptography. He describes using money that can be spread out all over the world. And this guy's a genius. He thinks about politics. He thinks about money. He thinks about law. He writes about all of these subjects, technology, the future. He is the one guy who's able to take all of these ideas and put them together. 2005, he writes about this idea. In 2009, the year that Bitcoin comes out, he starts to write another blog. In that blog, he's talking about using the blockchain for property titles. He's talking about using the blockchain for smart contracts. He's talking about using the blockchain for all kinds of advanced features, not just money. He's years ahead of me, ahead of everybody in this room, and a genius. It's kind of my hero. I don't know. He says he's not. He says he's not Satoshi, so probably not. He seems like he's a pretty honest guy. Let's talk about it. 2009, Bitcoin comes out. It's amazing. Bitcoin's amazing. Bitcoin is a great technology. And before Bitcoin, we had payment networks. Visa, MasterCard. We had stores of value, US dollars, Japanese yen. Bitcoin says, you know what? We can combine a store of value and a payment network into one thing. And it adds the idea that I mentioned before about the permanent ledger and the block concept and decentralization. All of this gets put together in Bitcoin in one package. Quickly after that, in 2011, altcoins rise up. Things like Litecoin and Namecoin. And they start to think, how can we make this faster? How can we add extra features like a domain name system into it? Then, in 2013, we get colored coins. And colored coins figure out how to make assets, not just Bitcoin, but other coins on top of the Bitcoin in a second layer protocol. Ripple comes along. Maybe some of you have heard of Ripple. It's a good technology for what it is. Ripple decides, store value is not so important. We want to focus on the payment network. And they launched this payment network, and they said, you know what Bitcoin would be good? It would be good if it had a lot of different assets from different banks and different companies, and it'd be nice if there was a built-in exchange. And if you access this exchange, you can have gateways and lines of trust. And they said, decentralization, we don't really need it. We just need some nodes, enough of nodes to make the network run. They make a distributed ledger. It works fast. It's a very smooth platform. It's really good for what it does. NEM. Anyway, NEM starts in 2014. It introduces smart assets, advanced multisig, on-chain multisig with push notifications, messaging, domain namespaces. It takes a lot of the stuff that was here and tries to reintroduce it. In 2015, Megan Network comes out. It offers fast transactions, no transaction fees. It's all built in. Finally, we have Ethereum. Ethereum, a lot of people tell me that Ethereum is a great blockchain, and I agree, but I want to tell you that I think NEM is a great blockchain. I think NEM is a smart blockchain. I think Ethereum is a world computer. Yes, there is a blockchain on this world computer, but I think its main innovation is a world computer. And I think that the way I would describe it is Bitcoin is like a gasoline car. And for sending money, it's a gasoline car, it's a little expensive, it uses proof of work, which is a great way to secure the network, but it's a little expensive. Gasoline's a little bit expensive. NEM is like a Tesla, right? It's a smart car, right? NEM does not cost very much to run. Gasoline in a car costs a lot more than electricity in a Tesla. And Tesla has something called autopilot. No hands, no feet, right? You can drive this car. It's connected to the internet. It's fast, really fast, much faster than the gasoline cars, right? So that's like NEM. NEM is a Tesla. Bitcoin is an old car. Ethereum is a rocket ship. It doesn't even want to be a car. It wants to be this world supercomputer. And that's awesome because it's a beautiful idea. On Ethereum, you could go out of this world. You could do anything you want. But the problem with rocket ships is that when you build them and test them, they often explode. These rocket ships are hard, and we see this happening on Ethereum a lot. A lot of these smart contracts on Ethereum are not working. It's a grand idea. It's a beautiful idea. And someday, Ethereum is going to change the world. But until then, I think we need to be careful with it. So it's a little introduction to our timeline. Here's a lead developer, one of the most important developers. His name is Vlad on the Ethereum network. Here is something he has to say.
Did we conclude that the best use for smart contracts that you've come up with, though, is multisig at the moment?
The best use today, I would say, it's actually, what I would say is it's something like a multisig that owns an ERC20.
Okay, that's fine. Well, definitely, that makes perfect sense to me, yeah.
This is like the reality on the ground today, but like, this is not the vision.
Anyway, Vlad is talking about Ethereum, and he says that smart contracts on the Ethereum network today are basically multi-sig and ERC20. But the problem with multi-sig is recently a multi-sig contract on Ethereum just broke. And that was made by Dr. Gavin Wood, one of the main architects of the Solidity language. And if even the main architect of our Ethereum is having their contracts break, what about your contracts? Are they going to be good in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? There's no editing contracts on a world computer. Once they're there forever. NEM is a little bit different. It's designed to be the ideal smart blockchain. It doesn't want to be a world computer. It just wants to be a blockchain, a very good blockchain. It's designed to be safe and fast and secure. It's rewritten from scratch, 100% new code. It didn't start off with Bitcoin. It didn't start off with Ripple. It started off with its own language, with Java, and wrote all the code from scratch. We introduce a smart asset system unlike any asset system in any other blockchain. It's really beautiful what you can do with this asset system. You can create smart programmable money that does things that no other blockchain is going to do. You can even connect these assets with the IoT. We introduce smart signing contracts, smart signing platforms, a domain name system, messaging, node reputation, and a new kind of consensus called POI. Okay? And the thing about POI is it is eco-friendly and it doesn't cost a lot to run. We have 3 full-time backend developers, 3 full-time wallet developers. That might not sound like a lot, but we try to get really good developers that are worth 5 developers or 10 developers. One really good developer can do the work of many developers. We've looked really hard to find our developers. Let me give you some examples of blockchain projects, because as I said earlier, the blockchain can be used more for just money. But here's an example of how it is used for money. Chronobank did their ICO on many different platforms. They're looking at launching their money token on Ethereum and NEM. This is a beautiful thing about blockchains. We don't have to be enemies. We can all be friends. And we can make tokens on cross-platforms, right? So Chronobank is based out of Australia. They're making a labor hours token, and they are going to release this token. 1 token equals 1 hour of labor on the NEM and Ethereum blockchains. A step up from that is a company, a project called Dimcoin. And they don't want to just make their own token. They want to take other people's tokens, like from a stock exchange. And they want to bring stocks that are hard to be traded on a stock exchange and put those on the blockchain for regular people. So they allow a lot of different companies to release their assets on the Dimcoin blockchain. A step up from that is a project called Kumsa. So Chronobank releases money, Dimcoin does other people's money. Kumsa allows other people to make their own money. It's a ICO platform. You guys have heard about ICOs. There's a lot of talk about ICOs, some good, some bad. Kumsa is doing something new, a little revolutionary. It only wants to use real companies with real customers, companies that are already traded on stock exchanges, companies that want to act in regulated markets. So Kumsa is out of Japan, and what's happening in Japan right now is regulation is coming. This project has applied for regulation. It wants to be the company, the project that allows real companies with real people to make an ICO. Here's another one. We've talked about some games today. NEM uses APIs, which is really good for developers. We even have SDKs and wrappers that are available for the APIs. One developer, Greg, in his part-time, developed a Pac-Man video game, based on the NEM blockchain. Took him a few months working here and there a little bit. It's because the NEM APIs make it easy for someone to put their project on the blockchain. You pay a token to play the game. If you do very good, you get more tokens that you can be used to play the game again, or you can transfer these and sell these. If you have a really high schooler, you can get a vanity token that says that you were the best person for the day. And these tokens can be transferable, like the ones that you use to play the game, or they can be non-transferable, like the token that you get for the vanity token. Vanity tokens are not meant to be shared. They're not meant to be traded. You can program tokens on the NEM blockchain to be transferable or non-transferable. Smart programmable money. Here's another example. This developer, Chris, he made a NEM shop. He wanted to allow people to sell things on WordPress, so there's a WordPress plugin. If you want to sell things on WordPress and you don't know how to use Visa or MasterCard, or you don't want to have dollars, you can now accept a cryptocurrency, the Zim token, from anywhere in the world to fund your store. All with a little plugin. All direct, person to business. No middleman. This is decentralization. Not to be outdone, another developer decided that he was going to make Nim P3. He's an artist, he's a musician. It's actually, the music's pretty good. He not only designed a store that would sell MP3s on the NEM blockchain, he put the whole database for the customer's orders, the customer's information on the blockchain too. All of this is built on the NEM blockchain. Here's another example, NEM ID. Some of you maybe heard of BitID for Bitcoin. This is a little bit like that. This is a program that uses the NEM protocol that you can use your wallet or your information to log into websites. This is end-to-end encryption, no man-in-the-middle attack. But this is not just good for logging into websites we are examining using this to contact items on the IoT, NEM IoT. Here's another example of a project. This is called Landstead. In this project, the developers made an example of a country. They registered a domain name for the country. Then they made citizenship tokens, non-transferable citizenship tokens. They send the citizenship tokens to each account to represent that a person belongs to that country. And again, these can't be transferred. If I'm a citizen of a country, like let's say I have a citizenship token for India, India doesn't want me selling my citizenship to Pakistan, right? These are non-transferable. So I get a token, it's locked in my account. But then they also made land titles. And the land titles are programmed to be traded among citizens of that country. And each land title has a full registry of the whole history of the house. It can show if the taxes were paid. It can show if the house was sold, when it was sold, if somebody inspected the house, if something was broken in the house, if it was repaired. It's not only a smart certificate that shows ownership of the house, it shows a full history of the events that happened to the house. It is a proof of ownership and it is a proof of history all into one. And these smart house certificates can only be transferred among citizens. Voting. Another example of how we can use a database or a blockchain. Yes? On Landstead, if there's a citizen and they die, the country can issue a revoke token, revoke citizenship asset. So there's one token, one asset on the account that shows I'm a citizen. If I've been banned from the country, if I die, if I lose my account, the country can issue another token to revoke citizenship. That's what? Well, whoever controls the private key of the account that issues the assets should be centralized. You don't want to decentralize your private key. That's a big problem. Always keep your private key private, okay? That's always important. And use a hardware wallet. So voting. This is the dawn of smart programmable voting. On the NEM blockchain, we allow voting. There was recently a proposal for a company I'll talk about in a minute called LuxTag. It received an approval of the community for more than $500,000. And this was a vote by the community. We allow voting on the NEM blockchain by POI. Before I mentioned that NEM blockchain uses POI, proof of importance, a new revolutionary form of consensus. These votes can be done by POI. They can be done by a whitelist. Maybe you only want 10 or 20 people. You can name the exact people that can vote and other people cannot vote. We allow multiple choice voting. So if there's 10 candidates or 10 options, you could choose 3 or 4. We allow re-voting. Let's say you vote and the election's 2 weeks long, and after a few days, you change your mind, some new story comes out, it's not a good story. What you thought was the case is not the case. You can re-vote and change your vote. Because the blockchain is a good history ledger, and it's smart. LuxTag, full disclosure, I work at LuxTag. Save the best for last. LuxTag does certificates. I talked a little bit about it before, but LuxTag will make luxury item certificates. There's a watch I'm wearing. It's a Rolex watch. Yeah, I know, I'm rich. Invest in cryptocurrencies. Just joking, just joking. Really just joking. I'll sell you this watch, this Rolex watch, for 10% off. I just bought it. Do you want to buy it? How do you know it's real? Right? I give you a discount, only $15,000. How do you know it's real? Well, the guy who sold it to me told me it looks exactly like a real Rolex. He said nobody would be able to tell the difference between this one and a real one. Right? But that's the thing. We don't know. Is a Rolex a real watch or is it a fake watch? With blockchain tagging, I can match a serial number or even embed a smart device in the watch so that when you buy the watch, you get transferred a smart certificate, and only you can have that smart certificate that verifies that that watch is a real watch. Right? This is kind of a revolutionary thing in the blockchain technology. And it just goes to show you all the advanced applications that can be done on the NEM blockchain, but not just NEM. There's other good blockchains out there too. And I think that all of these blockchains, when they come together and when they specialize, they're going to show us the dawn of a new blockchain revolution. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and listening to me today.